Wait for it, yeah. Wait for it, yeah. Wait for it, yeah. Wait for it, yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the SheHH Podcast, where we interview women in Christian music all around the world. I am really excited for this episode because we literally have a UK veteran in the gospel. No, I don't say that lightly. A UK veteran in the gospel industry. Somebody who has sung with everybody, ministered with everyone, performed with everyone, supported the people in this industry, and is now supporting our podcast and being a part of it. So before I say too much, I would love for you to just introduce yourself to the audience and to people who may not know you.
Okay, I'm Lurine Cato MBE.
Don't forget the MBE.
I know, sometimes I forget it and people are like, Lurine, I'm like, okay, MBE. I'm a gospel recording artist, singer-songwriter, vocal coach and speaker and a mother of two. And here I am.
Oh, it's such a privilege, honestly. I am really excited to just chat to you, get to know you a bit more, learn about you, and hopefully just encourage other female artists that are looking for inspo in terms of, you know, having a long career, having that legacy, continuing on. Because if you want to just touch on how long you've been doing this for, that would be great.
Oh my gosh, singing, doing this professionally for over 20 years.
Crazy.
Over 20 years.
Insane. And I think some of us who have been like in it for a couple of years are like, oh, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do when I hit 30 or when I, you know, and you've honestly been just like sustaining that, like living off music for that long, and that's just such a blessing. But before we dive in, because there's going to be like multiple layers to this interview, you gave us a really extensive bio. Do you remember you sent us this really long bio and then you were like, here's a smaller one.
Yeah.
It was like, maybe try this shorter one.
Yeah.
I've done a bit. But one of my favorite things in that was you said you're a big foodie. You love a good, you know, love cuisines.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite cuisine? Just to warm you up, what's your favorite cuisine?
Oh my gosh, you know, you can't beat West Indian food. I love it so much. Yeah, my parents are from Jamaica and it's just the best food. If someone said, yeah, they're making dinner, like, what dinner? What is it?
Who's cooking
chicken and rice. Oh, I'm in. You know,
Yeah.
It's the best.
Oh, it's good. No, I'm not going to dispute that. Jamaican food, Caribbean food, delicious, incredible. Okay, so like you said, as well as being a singer, songwriter, you're also a vocal coach, you're also a choir leader, you do backing vocalists for people, and you also have been producing music for decades. Literally, I think according to Spotify, the first single was Lost in Love in 2006. Is that correct?
We can go even further back than that.
Really?
Yeah, there's some information that people be shocked about.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it goes
way back.
So what was the introduction to music? Like, what was the starting point for you?
In church, you know. I belonged to a church called the Calvary Church of God in Christ, and they shorten it as COGIC.
Yes.
And that's where Kara shared and the Clark sisters, Kim Burrell, Kurt Carr and the Kurt Carr singers, Mary, and almost the whole of everyone that sings gospel comes from COGIC. So I was born in that over here, and everyone sang, you know, and they sang hard. So when people hear me sing and they're like, where do you get that volume from the guts of it? Because I was a product of my environment. Mm-hmm. And so that's all I used to hear. My sisters used to tour with the Clark sisters.
Oh, wow.
And because they were part of a choir called COGIC Mass Choir, which the Clark sisters' mother, Dr. Matimus Clark, was teaching them over here. Okay. So they used to come over here. My sister used to take them around London and things like that amongst everybody else. And so I was brought up with all of that gospel music around me, and the Hawkins. And I don't know if you know the Hawkins. You know the Hawkins? Yeah. You know, because you got to ask young people.
I'm not that young. Also, yeah.
You know, the Hawkins and Andre Crouch, they used to all come to our church.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everybody. I mean, I could be here till tomorrow telling you the people. So my sisters used to sing with them. And they used to have like rehearsal tapes of their rehearsals with them. And I used to listen to them day in, day out. And so I would learn harmonies and everything. And so that was my introduction of singing and gospel music and all of that.
Oh, wow. That's really extensive, really deep in, like, ingrained in you, if it's from, you know, the beginning. And even just, like, the music that you have released since releasing music. There's been different sounds over the years, but I would, like, describe a lot of what I heard as, like, kind of electronic pop. Like, there's been touches of that, as well as the obvious traditional gospel. But do you ever give yourself a genre? Do you ever, like, describe your sound in any type of way?
Urban gospel music, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. They say, what is it? Tell us. I think I did come up with it, but I just like music. And I think because I come from a big family, right? And everyone in the house was playing different types of music. So you had ragga, you had dance hall, you had rare groove, you had R&B, you had hip hop, you had pop, you had classical music, you had gospel.
Wow.
There was so much genres of music that I was born into it. And that's why I guess we will talk about it later when I used to do backing singing to the stars. I knew how to do every genre authentically.
Because of what you already heard.
It was ingrained in me. So, yeah,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. If it's what you've heard, if it's what has been ingrained in you, as soon as someone's like, hey, jump on my, I don't know, electronic pop song, you're like, cool, the voice is ready.
Country music.
Country.
Yeah, indie. One time I was a backing singer for an indie band. And I was the only backing singer for them. And they were called Cast. Some of you might know it. Everything, you know, growing up around it was normal for me, as in the music. Not.
Yeah, not the... Just to be clear.
My God.
Just to be clear. As well as like being a vocalist, as well as doing backing vocals and also being your own singer, your own like artist, you also lead choirs, and you specifically in Britain's Got Talent 2018, you led the Be Positive Gospel Choir really, really far in the show. I think you guys went in the semi-finals, right?
We got to the finals.
Yeah, you got to the finals.
Yeah.
Could you please talk about that? Because that's very unheard of for an inspirational choir to do so well on a show where they're really just looking for the next One Direction.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be honest, they're trying to find Little Mix.
I know.
That's who they want.
Oh my gosh. You know, they've got their favourites.
From the beginning.
But, you know, when I was approached to front the choir, it was back in 2017, early in the year. And there was like, Lurine, we're going to talk to you about, because it was the Mobos and the NHS that put the choir together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that like public knowledge? Do people know that?
Yeah, it was public knowledge.
Oh, wow.
At the time. Yeah, it was public knowledge. And so the Mobos and the NHS put it together because NHS wanted to, you know, get more Black and Asian people to give blood. Because of course over here you do it for free, but in America you get paid, you won't have any problems.
Okay.
But over here you have to literally beg. And sadly only 1% of Black people give blood.
Yeah.
And you can't just get blood out of thin air.
Yeah.
I never knew that we had to listen.
No, I get you though. I thought the same thing, because when I started to see all the like, oh, you know, donate blood, I was like, can't they just like make it?
Right? How are you going to make blood, eh? But I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, they just... People
Put
just...
stuff together and make it.
And put it in people's bodies. No, they need people.
Yeah, they do.
People need people. But I know, I was the same way. When they really educated me about, you know, it takes 3 pints of blood. No, 1 pint of blood to save 3 lives.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
1 pint of blood. And there's certain bloods that they need for people that has sickle cell.
Yeah.
Because if they can't get any black people or Asian people to give blood that matches their blood, they have to get it from the Caucasian people. And sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I've got to call them to make my next appointment. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's real, you know? So they got their choir together, and it was so funny because I didn't hear from them for the whole year until I was at an award show called UEA, UK Entertainment Awards, and they called me while I was on my way, and they said, Lurine, we've got someone fell sick, and we've got the pre-Mobo Awards tomorrow. Can you jump in and sing lead?
Wow.
I said, only if I can learn the song.
Because no notice, no time.
I said, you better have a plan B. They said, Lurine, you are our plan B, C, D. I went, no. I said, let me hear this song. When I heard it, I thought, touch and go. Never heard of it before in my life. Okay, maybe, okay, I'll give it a go. And that's how basically it happened. But let me tell you what is really amazing about this story. That I went to the pre-Mobo Awards, because you remember they used to separate
they did.
all that. And an hour before it was starting, I was told, Lurine, we sent you the wrong version. This is music business. This is what happens, you know. Sometimes you're learning a song, 5 minutes before you go on stage. You know, this is what we do. You know, you're like, okay.
I don't know who we is. I don't do that.
Music people, all those who know what I'm talking about, say amen. It is the truth, you know. Wow. So I just said, okay, there was no time really to let it sink in, the version I'm supposed to sing. I didn't know that the song was a well-known song. You know the song Rise Up?
Yeah.
And I rise up.
Yeah.
I didn't know, never heard of it.
So people know if you don't know it.
Girl, I did not know this song. And I was given the wrong version. So I said, you know what? I'm going to riff this thing out.
When in doubt, riff. When in doubt, riff well, but riff.
I didn't even riff well. I was riffing out of key. No, because I remember hearing it back and I thought, what in the world, or my main saying is, what in the dickens was I doing? So anyway, we did it, and people go, wow, whatever. And Kenya King was there, right? And the next day they said, we want you to sing for the live show that's happening, the main show that's happening in Leeds. I went, what? There's never been a female gospel artist or a singular solo gospel artist sing at the Mobos, the main one on the show live. And I was the first one, and I was like, so a lot of things happened, and I'll get into that, but it's a lot of things that happened, what happened at the Mobos, even my relationship with Fenty.
Fenty. We'll get into it. I was gonna say, literally, it's so funny that you just started it, but I was gonna give you a chance to name drop, because you have been a top vocalist for a lot of people's faves. You've done people who have come over to do tours. They need people to sing. They need people that will get it right. Let's call her in. She's ready. She doesn't know the song, but she'll riff. You know what I'm saying? But I would love for you to maybe talk on, and as much as you would like to, but I think this would be really useful for people watching. Those are really secular spaces. How do you navigate those spaces as a woman who is a Christian, who knows God, who has a relationship with him, and is also a gospel artist, a self-professed gospel artist? How do you navigate those spaces?
Well, back then when I was doing it, I was around in my early 20s. I was like 24, 25, all that kind of thing like that. And even up to 26, 27. So back then I was a Christian, but I wasn't living like a Christian, you know? I was just, I mean, I definitely loved the Lord. I definitely was, thinking about him and thinking about my walk with God. But I thought, I've always wanted to do this. Let's go, you know. Yet there were some things that I was like, you know, conscious of, you know, things that I would wear or what people are singing in the songs. Do you know what I mean? And so I had to be very careful of all of that. But yeah, so back then, you know, when you're in your 20s, and I know that some people in their 20s right now, you know, they're Christian artists and doing backing singing. And, you know, the pop world and the R&B world today is a lot more, they come up with nasty stuff.
Yeah, they're very vulgar.
Nasty. And, you know, my brothers and sisters are doing BVs. And I understand, you know, when you're getting paid to do something, it's difficult. And, you know, and for some people, it's not difficult. But I'd give you one thing, though. I remember when I went on tour with Kylie Minogue. And I did 2001 with her. And they called me and said, Lurine, we'll love you to come back and do 2002. And I went, yeah. And at this time, I was praise and worship leader at my brother's church. And I was like, God, okay, they've called me. And so they called me on the Thursday and they needed an answer by the Monday. And in between was church on Sunday. Right? And I just said, I didn't tell anyone. I said, God, if you want me to go, you need to give me confirmation. You need to give me confirmation. I need to know for real. And on Sunday was worshiping. And I remember, listen, the move of God was so powerful on that day. And a sister in the church came up to me randomly and said, God said go. No word.
And she didn't know what it was about?
I haven't told anyone. I didn't tell anyone I was asked again. And on that tour, God moved in a great way.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people that feel like they are hearing that go? They're hearing that you're a Christian artist, but I'm giving you that go to go into those secular spaces.
First of all, let's just be honest. Some people are not even asking God. They're just doing it. Because it's for them, and I understand it. I get it. Because I come from that world. You know, it's a job and you're doing your job. You know, it's for them, it's like if a guy is a plumber or a woman is a plumber and they're going to, and someone calls for a plumber, they're going to do a job. So a lot of people aren't really asking God, should I do this? Should I? And all that. But for those that are considering it, and, you know, I actually vocal train people to be backing singers as well. So I say, please ask God, because you never know. You might be at the right place in your life where he can trust you in those spaces. And because who else is going to reach them? Who else? Once you're in that world, that pop world, you've got people around you that keep you away from anything positive that will take you out.
Yeah.
Because your life is paying for everybody else's.
That part.
Right? What you do on stage, in shows and whatever, it is paying for people's mortgages, bills and everything. Their livelihoods. So, you know, they don't want you to be around anything that is Christianity, you know. So when you're in those spaces, just ask God, you know, help me to not sink or drown in those places, but be a light.
That's so good. That's really
with
true.
Wisdom.
Yeah, it's really true. And I think it is really difficult because, like you said, some people are like, this is my job. I studied to do it, or I always wanted to be a singer and I'm able to pay my bills by being in the secular spaces because it's not always going to pay in gospel music. It's not always going to pay.
Well, we can talk about that.
We can talk about that because I want to know how you didn't sink and you swam and didn't drown.
And then spoken tongue.
Singing that tongue.
I'm telling you, y'all. All right, let's go ahead. Start. Because I will just go.
So I get, like, for some people, it's a case of, this is a gift that I've got. Like, I've been blessed with this voice and I enjoy music and I'm able to put a melody together and I'm good to work with. Why not do it with non-Christians? Why not do it with secular artists? And it is important to hear someone like you say, like, hey, ask the Lord, because if it's a good thing, he will still say yes. Like, we have to actually believe that God wants us to do good. Like, if it's a good thing that you can handle and that he will be with you in, he will still say yes.
Yeah.
But I think some people are scared of if he said no.
Yeah. So that's why they won't ask. They just, I want to live a dream. And for me, when I first started to go into that world, I wanted to live a dream, you know, and I lived it. And I'm telling you, God's hand was on me, because the many times I could have just not come back.
That part. Yeah, it's true. And you could have and would have been really successful.
We'll get to that.
In the eyes of of humanity.
The opportunities that came.
Yeah, because you have been in some really crazy rooms. Like, you know, those little letters at the end of her name are not just for SheHH.
Yeah.
MBE, and for a lot of our audience are American, so that's actually something that's given by our late queen and our king. It's an award, like an honorary like title you give someone for their service to a specific thing, and in your case it was your service to music. So it's a real honor, and you have literally gone on to sing for like different events for the royal family. Obviously you were knighted, you were given an MBE by the Queen at the time, and you've been in loads of these spaces. How do you recommend somebody who is trying to succeed and really just excel, like musically, so like, you know, in these kind of spaces, what advice would you give someone who's trying to succeed in those spaces?
When it comes to those places, you have to be obedient to God. It's as simple as that. Some people, you're looking for 5 steps, 10 steps. Me not have them. I don't have them at all. Everything that I'm doing, everything that I've done has mainly been because I have been sold out to God and just told him, lead me where you need me. You know, I'm just being obedient to him. And he told me, I'm going to make sure you are going to be awarded. And I was like, awarded? You know, and it was a place where I remember him telling me when I left the music industry for 5 years. When I left the music industry for 5 years because of what I went through, sexual abuse for so many years, I left the industry to be healed and be delivered. So I didn't actually want to go back into music. I just wanted to help people, look after people and all that. But you have to hear from heaven. Seriously, in the climate that we're in now, where people need to see more Jesus in us, Amen. Where people need to feel like there's hope outside of drugs, sex, and sage, and
speak on that one.
All manner of things. Some people don't know what they need, you know. But once they see it, they're gonna go, that's it. And it's got to be the Jesus in you. That is what's important. So in everything you do, in any workspace that you're going to be in, where you're going to be surrounded by people who are not Christians, you have to make him be involved. If he's not involved in your every decision, then something is going to go terribly wrong. And as we say, if you don't hear, you're going to feel. Go to him. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's really powerful. You touched on this a bit, and this is a sensitive topic, so trigger warning to anybody watching and listening, and also say as much as you would like or as little. But we actually spoke about this over DMs, and it's part of the reason why, not the only reason, but part of the reason why we ended up speaking, because you were like reminiscing on the fact that it's been over 20 years of doing music, and the fact that you had to pause for a bit to focus on your healing, and the fact there was so many opportunities for you to stop and like just be done, but you kept going, and you are here now. I'd love for you to, as much as you would like to say, talk about the abuse, and how, what the story was and how you are still standing by God's grace.
Yeah. So, you know, I got firstly groomed by a youth leader when I was 13 reaching almost 14. So of course the grooming is not actually physical harm, but it's more getting into the mind. Yeah. And as you know, a 13-year-old, your hormones are changing. Yeah. You think you're ugly. You think your parents don't understand you. The world sucks. And
I remember that time.
You know, everything is mad. And
everyone's against you.
Everyone's against you. And I hate this life. And all those kind of things like that is going on. So, you know, that's when they come in and make you trust them. And they make you believe that I get you. I understand you. And I was having problems at school with work and with homework and things like that. And they were like my savior, helping me with my homework, helping me with stuff. And as time went on, they sexually abused me for years, molested me for years, you know, and all the way to the age of 21. You know, really had my mind. And as time went on, I went into relationships where, you know, you start looking for love and you just don't understand. First of all, before I go any further, what I went through at school was hard as well, because going through it. And so I was venting in school by having fights, getting in trouble, getting excluded, being on report, you know, and if fighting girls were boring, so I had to fight the guys.
Not
you know,
boring.
because girls would just pull hair and everything, pull hair and scratch, you know. And I want to punch. Do you know what I mean? And
sorry, it's actually not funny.
I know, but that's how it was. You know what I mean? And but I was in pain and didn't even realize it. And I remember actually even crying out. I didn't cry out loud enough to say, I am going through this. And they came back and said, oh, you know, the devil's using her. You know, yeah, man, the devil's using her. She's getting it all wrong. Yeah. And I was just seen as, you got it all wrong, you know. So, yeah, like I said, I went into relationships where one guy, you know, he I thought it was love. Once again, he had choices of how my hair should be, how my clothes should be, yeah. He didn't want me to be around my family, my friends. You know, I had to secretly set up time to see my friends and go, I've got to go back. And they go, Lurine, why are you acting like this? You know, and he didn't physically hurt me, but he mentally, emotionally hurt me, you know. And then I went into a relationship where someone did physically hurt me. I went through domestic violence. I got raped repeatedly. You know, I mean, it was nuts. I mean, I got even beaten up on the street and people trying to help me, and I'm telling them, don't help me because I don't want them to be hurt. You know, so many things, and to the point where I remember he beat me up in his car, and I tried to get out of the car, and I got out of the car and I looked mashed up. I looked mashed up, and I'd had no money to get on the train, to get on the bus. Back then, you could have change and get on the bus, you know.
Before contactless. yeah, before those great days
of having contactless now. So yeah, and I couldn't get on the bus, didn't have enough money, and I just took a chance and took a cab, and I said, yeah, when we get to my address, I can give you money. And I'm looking mashed, my hair's all ripped out and everything. Wow. And I remember, I'll never forget this, my dad gave me his last coins that he had, and it wasn't even enough for the cab, and the cab man was cussing me out. And, you know, and he's like, I can't even tell the guy at the time, I just got beaten up, you know. And, you know, I was really depressed during those times as well. And even before that, I went to London Bridge to jump off. And as I was at the edge of the bridge, I remember it was a cold night, I was wearing a puffer jacket, and God said, if you jump, you're going to float.
The jacket will become...
Yes.
Wow.
And I didn't jump. You know, I even remember one of my brothers trying to call me to, you know, Lurine, don't do it, whatever. You know, it was tough what I was going through. So yeah, it was like 19 years.
Yeah, almost 2 decades.
Yeah, of sexual abuse. And and I'll never forget when I was asked to do a third tour with an artist, and I just said, and I had a baby at this time, and I said, I can't do it. I really can't do it. And they said, we'll have a nanny for you. We'll have this for you. We'll have that for you. I remember this group called Massive Attack. They asked me to be the front singer of their tour, and big money was going to come my way. I had nothing left. I did all the covering up, smiling and everything. I was done. There was no smile.
What was the like breaking point where, because you said you took some time out from music to like heal, deliverance. What was the breaking point that you were like, yeah, I'm stopping now?
I think it was after I had my son. Yeah. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had to turn down so much opportunities. I remember watching TV one time in my 2-bedroom flat with my little baby, and watching shows where I was asked to do backing for people. And I'm like, that was my job. And crying, tears.
That's painful.
Bogey coming out of my nose, everything, I was a hot mess. But I knew I had nothing left. And, I actually remember saying to God, just help me to be a true Christian. And that's all. I don't know how I had that came out of my mouth, because I was depressed and oppressed and suicidal, and, yeah.
And during those 5 years, you're now like not doing the like stage singing out loud, like in front of people. How, like, what are you doing? Are you just in your home? Is it like you and God? Is it you, family and friends? Like, what was the process of like coming back to you, like coming back to who you are?
Well, coming back to me, I didn't even know this was this. I've never experienced it. So I didn't know I couldn't see the future.
Yeah.
I remember my sister said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I said, look at her, forget the light. I can't see the tunnel. I can't see the tunnel. I'm like, I was so depressed. So that period of 5 years, God literally said, Lurine, I'm going to help you to pray again. I'm going to help you how to read the Bible, because I want you to learn again. I wanted to, because I was just reading Psalms. I didn't understand anything else. Psalms, even though I heard all the stories from the Bible, I wouldn't go to anywhere. I wouldn't go to Amos. I wouldn't go to Ezra. I wouldn't go
Obadiah?
Who's that? Back then I'd be like, I don't understand. It was just Psalms, And I remember my godmother, she, Yvonne, I love you. She gave me a book called Word for Today, and which is done by UCB.
Yeah, the devotional.
Yeah. And it made me, they would do like these sections of stories and things like that, and it would have scriptures in there. And so every time a scripture came up, I would go to the Bible and read it, and it made me understand what it was saying. So I would go to Amos, and I would go to Obadiah, and I would go to all these places, because it will have it. And it started to feed me every day. Every day I was understanding him more, and he taught me how to pray. My mum used to be on her knees 3 times a day, and no one could disturb her. And I said, I want to pray like that. And I tried it, and I just woke up the next morning. And so God said, Lurine, just talk to me like you talk to your friends. Yeah. Just talk to me anywhere, everywhere. And I tried it, and it really did. So this relationship building was amazing. It was really like doing something new for me.
That is really beautiful. I love that it was just a process of like almost relearning what it meant to be a Christian, relearning how God is talking to you, how to live. Again, say as much or as little as you would like, but what support do you think that we as the church, as music fans, as Christians, as men, as women, could really be doing for people that are really going through it, that are going through abuse, are going through traumatic times, that are trying to come out of it, or trying to even, you said you tried to reach out and you weren't loud enough. You shouldn't have to be so loud. What can we do, like from your experience? What do you think we could do?
Churches can be educated. So you need to be educated first. What is going on in your community?
Yeah.
Because that's why churches are there. That we are meant to be, that we're meant to have the solution, you know? So that's why even today, like the Metropolitan Police will come to the church and say, look, we've got gangs and most of the gangs are coming from church. And we need we need your support if we can work together. And that's the thing. I know an organisation right now, I can't remember what they're called, but what they're trying to do is get into churches to educate churches and train them how to deal with domestic violence in the church and in the community. Because back in the day, they would say, just make him food. Don't worry, just, you know, it will be all right. Never mind. Just, you know, him calm down. We'll pray. And that is it.
Not
and
make him food.
You know, it's just an example of what kind of things were said, you know. But now we can really get to the bottom of it and train the churches. So get trained to help your young people, to help your vulnerable people, to help the young people, single mothers, single fathers, and really get and be the light in your community, in your city. And so that is the first thing. Get trained, get to understand the statistics, what's going on in the area. And then you can go, right, who in this church works with children? Who in this church works with... We want you to, on Sunday, because most people turn up on a Sunday, or if your church is on a Saturday, talk about what you do, what you provide, and then have a pastoral care system so that people can have, and also having small groups that goes homes and you share and all those, I'm telling you, and then eventually people could feel like I'm safe. I'm safe. There's people that I can go to. You're trustworthy, and then more people can get help.
Oh, that's beautiful. I really believe that there has been and there will be change. I think it's really, really sad to hear that you experienced that for so long. Yeah. But I want to believe that since then there's been things in place, and I know that for the experiences I have had, the small groups, the like more intimate settings, especially from the bigger churches, are so helpful in actually building fellowship. Yeah. Like it's not just, I see you on Sunday and we wave and you, Sister Blessing, how are you? Like it's also, I see Sister Blessing on Wednesday because she comes to my house. I see her kids, we pick up her kids on Thursday. Like we do life together. Yes. You know?
Yeah, I like that, doing life together.
And that's what we're called to do as Christians, you know, because if we're not going to find family and life and people to do life with in the church, we'll do it outside of the church.
Exactly.
You know, you touched on something a bit earlier about you're having 2 kids and like literally doing the whole industry career thing while raising kids, while dealing with loads of stuff and healing from that. I would love for you to maybe talk about, especially to some of our audience who are mothers or are going into that stage. I'm not a mother myself, but I'm about to get married, and I'm just also just thinking about, you know, balancing the whole, you know, home life alongside having a very strong and busy career. So I'd love for you to maybe talk about how to balance that and like what you did to make sure that no part of your life kind of overlapped or overtook everything else.
Well, what I mentioned earlier was the 5 years out of the industry has a lot to do with who I am today, because God literally had to break me, melt me, mold me and shape me into the woman that I am today. And I had to go through counselling. So people see counselling as a weakness.
Nope.
Devil is a liar.
Devil's a liar.
Counselling gives you true insight and foresight. Is that a saying? I don't know. But it makes you...
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Of your future. It really lets you see that, wow, there can be change. I can do this. I can, you know, because most people go through stuff and you cannot see it. You can't visualize it. You're looking at your kids around you. You're looking at your life. You're looking at, listen, I was in a 2-bedroom house with damp in it. You know, with 2 little ones, almost spaced out of my head. And because I reached out to God, he helped me. And you've got to be careful of who is around you. Because I really couldn't get through this if it weren't for my family praying mother, praying father, a praying family, and family helping me. Now, it wasn't always easy because they didn't always understand what I was going through because they were hurt too.
Yeah.
You know, and back then, all of this, you know, mental health, no one was talking about mental health.
No one was talking about it.
You're crazy, we're getting away from you. You're crazy, you're going on mad. We don't like how you're going on. And why don't you just leave that guy? Why don't you leave him and he's beating her up and all that kind of thing like that? People didn't understand about what is going on, that you're looking for that breaking of day and you can't see it, you know? So I had to say all of that before I answer your question because it had to do with all of that. And I can't remember your question.
No, it's all good. I'll come back to it. You raising two children.
Yes.
And doing your career.
Yes. So if it weren't for all of that and having the right people around me and the right friends, I couldn't be where I am today. So that was the making and the breaking, you know, because I would have broken if I didn't have the safety of family and the safety of good friends that are with me when I'm down and when I'm up. So, and also, so when God has a plan for you and you are staying connected to his plan and trusting the process, because what you are dealing with now, you got to trust that it ain't going to be like that in the future. So I had to really take one day as it came.
Literally.
And some of us, we live in a world where people just want microwave this. I need that thing now. It doesn't happen like that. It can, and then eventually it will flop. Right? I've been able to do this thing that I'm doing, gospel music and all sorts of things, you know, without doing a 9-to-5 job for years with children. And that's only because of God. I can't say to you, oh yeah, because I had this 5-year plan, 10-year plan. And I said, right, I'm going to go to that person and I'm going to learn and put money to, and it's good to do things like that. I just had to go with what God told me to do, whether I liked it or not. And one thing that he did teach me was forgiveness. So he has to trust you to be in the spaces that I could be, like with the royal family, speaking to Prince Harry, speaking to Princess Anne, speaking to, you know, I'm speaking to these people, and he had to trust me because he had to put me through tests. So what can I say? How did you do it, Lurine? God. How did you do it? I had to fast and pray. It wasn't no like, you know, I just heard one word and I just like, yeah, watch this. When you get a prophecy, some people have a prophecy and they leave it there and they're just expecting for it to happen.
By itself, magically.
You have to keep on reading that prophecy or listening to that prophecy and pray it through. And then wait for guidance of how to get there. And that is what I do all my life, for the rest of my life. So I hope I answered your...
No, you did, for sure. I think that's a real encouragement because it shows us that it is possible, number one, because I think some of us just don't believe that, you know, doing music is actually God's will for us, because we're like, how are we going to live? How are we going to eat? I want to be someone's wife. I want to be someone's mum one day. Are the kids going to eat, you know, good vibes and good music? No, they need food. They need, you know, but to see you say that like the Lord provided and that your answer to that is always God encourages me, and it shows me that if my answer is always God, then I'm going to be good too.
Yeah.
And our journeys may not look exactly the same, but the commonality, the thread that runs through yours and mine will be God. And so that's a real encouragement, I think.
And I will say this, there were hard times.
Oh, yeah.
There were times when me and my kids at one stage were just eating spaghetti and mashed potato.
Yep.
And I would eat their leftovers. And there were times where, you know, and so, but at the same time, what I love about God, I can't call him a provider if I've never been in a situation where I needed him to provide. I can't call him a healer if I haven't been sick and he healed me. And I'm telling you, I've got a testimony about that too.
Oh, share. This is your mic. This is even your podcast. I'm on your podcast. Please share with the class.
I mean, there's so much because, you know, I've always been taught to give God back his word, because the Bible said he will never leave me nor forsake me. He will never see his righteous forsaken or seed begging bread. And when I didn't have food and money, I would throw back his word back at him. And then I would hear a knock at the door and there's shopping. Now, literally shopping. And then I wake up in the morning and there's a envelope come through my door and it's £250. I mean, I had miracles and miracles happen over and over again. And it made me, he was telling me, look, trust me, I got you. I want you to rely on me, Lurine. No matter what you're going through, rely on me. Don't look at man. Look for me and I will send help, you know? So everything that I do, people always say to me, how did I... Sorry to do this accent, but this is the accent that came to me. I want a mobile. I want it. I want a You Revive Me song. I want a song because I done a song called You Revive Me and it got me the mobo. So I had so many people say to me, I need to get a song. That I had producers say to me, Lurine, I've got people coming to me saying they want a song like You Revive Me so they can get a mobo. You know? I'm like, God gave me that when I was washing the dishes. He dropped the song down, you know. Have your personal relationship with him. Let it be sincere and integral, because that's the only way you are going to. And even though he told me I was going to get awards and things like that, I was still like, whatever, God. I just want to do your will, whatever. And that is what, and he opened it. The Bible says your gift will make room for you.
Yes.
And that's what happened over there and still happening.
To this day.
My gift is making room for me. So I'm not just a singer. I'm a speaker. I'm a vocal coach. I sing at places. But I'll tell you what opened more doors for me was my testimony.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what's opened doors, and going into prisons and going into schools. And in fact, prisons is my favorite place because I'm seeing all those men just break. So
I was actually going to go into that. That was going to be my next question about, you always have advocated for vulnerable people, probably because you've been vulnerable people. And you have done prison ministry, you've worked with kids and all these things that are like, there's the people in society that we often like neglect and just kind of be like, oh, they're in there. Like, you know, kids are in school and people in prison are in prison. So we're done, you know, but you really go into those spaces. And I'd love for you to talk on like how, what God gave you for those people.
Well, one song that I always sing in prisons and in schools is this song called Keep Fighting that God gave me. He gave me one version of the song, and then me and this producer called Ian Green, who I do a lot of work with, we rewrote the song, and people always ask for that song because it just says a whole line of words that just hits people. And so I've been to prisons where it's on islands, and you got the most notorious men. And first of all, let's just check out the miracle. I've been abused by 5 men, right? For the 19 years that I was abused. Yet I am healed, delivered, and set free to be able to go in prisons to men.
Male prisons.
That have done the same things.
Wow.
And not feel any way. When I go into prisons, I walk in there with authority, but yet I'm walking in there in love. Because I'm walking with Christ in me. So I share my story, the same story that I've shared on here, and I sing Keep Fighting. And I might do more other songs depending which organization I'm in there with. So that's the main thing that God asks me to do when I go in there, is to share my story and to lift up the men and to sing that song Keep Fighting amongst other songs. And it really does a lot of work inside of people.
That's beautiful. Honestly, I feel like your life is gearing towards a book. I don't know if there's a book coming.
I've started it already.
Do you see? That's that prophetic. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it's a different kind of book as well. It's not like so when you see it, it's a whole different type of book. It's really, it's just full of testimonies.
Yeah, because as I was going to say, I feel like a lot of your life has shown God to be God. Like,
yes.
The names we give him, my provider, my healer, the names we give him,
my gosh.
Your life actually demonstrates those names. So I think it is the kind of story that we need to see and we need to read. Like, as much as we also need, the good, the light, the exciting, we also need the real, the like, God very much shows up. Like, he's very much warrior king. Like, he will come through. So, that's just wanted to say, like, I feel like that's what I'm receiving from you. And honestly, I could go on. There are so many more things I had written down and like, we've just gotten like this.
Sorry.
But it's okay. But this is the final question. So when we asked for your bio, you gave us a lot of information. And one thing that stuck out to me that I was like, oh, this is interesting. You said that one of your bucket list, like exciting things you would love to do is to actually bring gospel music to like an Arsenal Football Club game. And I was like, imagine a stadium, an Arsenal Football Club stadium full of people come in to listen to gospel music, right? That's insane. What are some things, you've done a lot of things in your career. Yeah. What are some things that you still have in your bucket list that you're excited to do one day?
Oh my gosh.
And you've done a lot.
Oh my gosh, I've done a lot, Because I've sang at Wembley Stadium on the pitch before England came to play. Wow. I know. And sat in the private. I was invited to Wimbledon to sit in the Royal Box, to sit with everybody, just 2001. And with the Duke of Kent, which is the Queen's cousin, who was what was he? He was the patron for Wimbledon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Before now, Kate is now. Mm-hmm. And in fact, his best friend was also in that box, and I'm singing at her funeral next week.
Wow, full circle.
Crazy. So there's a lot of things. What am I? I want to get married, I'll tell you that. That's on my bucket list.
Oh,
how about that?
That's exciting.
There ain't nobody yet.
Yet.
Ain't nobody yet. I'm not saying that, there have been candidates.
Oh. But you have 2 kids and you've got everything you want for yourself. So it's like they have to come correct.
Oh, but I don't have everything. See, this is the thing. If we show that there is, because when they see us online, they think they've got everything. I can't approach her. She's got everything. No, I don't have everything. I need you. Come and approach me.
It's true, no. You're actually right. But approach correctly as well, though. Approach correctly. Because this is an MBE. This is Miss MBE. You have to come correct. No.
Well, you know what? I think I would like to do more festival concerts.
Okay.
And do a tour.
I see that.
Do a tour. Because I've done 2 sold out concerts in South Africa. I've done concerts in Europe and things like that. So I think doing a tour and doing more festivals and concerts, that's what, that's the thing. And I've done like concerts over here too, but it's been a while. So I will be doing one later on this year.
Nice.
But yeah, that's
on the cards.
Yeah, do a tour, all that kind of thing. Still need to do that.
Amazing. I just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time, sharing your story, being so open and being part of a lot of people's healing through this. And thank you guys for watching and listening. Make sure you check out we didn't even get to half the music. Like, we didn't even get to half. I realized we didn't get to half the music on my list.
Part 2.
Part 2 to come. Okay, season 5 maybe. But you're on Spotify or everywhere, so people
I'm
can
on
go
Spotify,
check out.
Instagram and iTunes and
all those
everywhere,
places.
YouTube.
So yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening, and we hope to see you in the next episode. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating wherever you're listening to this and to follow us on Instagram at SheHH Podcast.